They may have lost their biggest star, but the Celtics seem to have found something in a dominant two-way performance to extend their season in Game 5. They've also got some history on their side, the best road record in the East this season, and the Knicks have dropped their last 5 shots at closing out series at Madison Square Garden. There will be some nervous fans in New York tonight. It's Playoff Central Live presented by State Farm. Great to see you out there. Here with 3D, Dennis Scott, Channing Frye right over there. I'm Matt Weiner. Tonight, the Knicks will try to do something that hasn't happened since the last century, believe it or not. That's close out a playoff series on their home court. If they can, they'll host the Pacers in their first Eastern Conference Finals appearance since 2000. But Boston made it pretty clear in Game 5 they're not done yet, blowing out New York in the second half by 25 to stay in the series. Jason Tatum's absence didn't slow the Celtics at all, with Jaylen Brown and Derek White providing 60 of the C's 127 points. Now it's the Knicks' turn to respond.
Every game that you want to win, bro. Like, there's no added anything. Like, every game you want to go out there and win. It doesn't matter where, if it's at home or away. That question is stupidity to me. Every game you go out there, you want to win. You want to compete at the highest level. And obviously we didn't do that. And next game's our next game. And that's all we're focusing on is getting a win. Jason Tatum went down. You thought they were just going to lay down? Nah. Obviously they don't want their season to end. They're the defending champs.
Yes, they're missing a big piece, but a team, a well-oiled machine that has been in situations where they've played without him. And they played well. And we need to understand that.
I know it's easy to kind of write things off. Obviously unfortunate what happened to JT. But we still got basketball to be played. I believe in this group, so don't count us out just yet.
We got to win one road game. Obviously, they're going to play their absolute best. And, we're going to have to do whatever it takes. But I think, just constantly looking at it, I just got to win one game and take it from there. At the end of the day, you don't get to pick the tests that you have. You just pick how you respond to them. And that's kind of how life works,
For some on-the-ground intel, let's bring in Fred Katz, who covers the Knicks and the rest of the league for The Athletic. Fred, New York is your home base. So I'd like your perspective on what this closeout chance and the possibility of the Knicks winning their way to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in a quarter century means to that fan base.
I mean, we'll see how much it means to the fan base once this game tips off. I anticipate, just like any MSG playoff game, it is going to be raucous in here. And if the Knicks get off to a real lead, I think you are going to feel it. And if the Celtics get off to a real lead, I think you will feel how much it means to the fan base in a very different kind of way. So I think we will probably hear some words that have never even been spoken before in the history of the English language tonight. They're just going to be inventing new words here. And it's always fun to be at an MSG playoff game. It's always fun.
Well, they're coming off a stunner. Jalen Brunson said he was disappointed by, quote, a lot after the Game 5 loss, but he wouldn't elaborate on that. What does your reporting and familiarity with that team tell you he most likely meant by that?
I think, and to be clear, it's not a guess. It is also not me saying this is what he was thinking because I can't read minds. I think there was a general sort of malaise over the Knicks heading into that game. There was a disappointment after it about the team's, not necessarily effort level, because I don't want to say they didn't play hard, but just the team's sort of intensity, their ability to lock into every single play. They had so many plays in that Game 5 where it was just communication mistake in transition, communication mistake guarding a pick and roll. And those are things that happen with the Knicks throughout the regular season. And even during parts of this series, we saw that during a lot of Game 3 where it was just one guy on the back half of a pick and roll was playing a different coverage than a guy in the front half of the pick and roll. And I think we saw that kind of resurface in Game 5, even in parts of Game 4 in that first half before they really took over. So this team will vacillate back and forth from really being totally and completely locked in every single play and looking like, man, this is a team that could make the Eastern Conference Finals or maybe more. And then going back to, they kind of lost their discipline. And I think that was a game where they just lost their discipline for 48 consecutive minutes. And I know Jalen Brunson wasn't the only person who kind of felt that way after, just feeling disappointed and bothered by a lot of things that happened in that game. And I could see some of that changing tonight.
Feels like we've seen some of that within games as well with the Knicks during this series. So with and now without Jason Tatum, the Celtics have found their trademark three-point game. They've averaged 20 makes the last 3 games. How much has that changed the complexion of this series?
Well, when you hit the 3 ball, things are going to be good for you. I mean, no Tatum out there is obviously incredibly tough. He is an unbelievable player, and it's such a shame what happened to him at the end of Game 4. You just never want to see somebody go down like that. That being said, in Game 5, I think there were a bunch of guys who really stepped up. I mean, Luke Cornett was phenomenal for Boston. Jaylen Brown, I thought, was unbelievable on both sides, orchestrating the offense, having to take on a lot of guarding Jalen Brunson on the other side. And I thought he was really good defensively, incredible hustle plays, diving for balls out of bounds, finishing plays around the basket, getting to the line. Derek White has been hitting shots as well. I do wonder if we're going to see more Peyton Pritchard. When Peyton Pritchard has played throughout this series, he has really given the Knicks trouble. They've struggled to guard him on pick and rolls. They've struggled to guard his catch and shoots, his pull-ups, and he can obviously get really hot from beyond the arc, especially with the way that Kristaps Porzingis is struggling right now and just not looking like himself with whatever this is that he's dealing with. You know, Game 4, for example, they stuck with Porzingis a lot. They went with 2 bigs a lot. I could see them playing Pritchard a little bit more. I could see them going to Cornette more tonight. I think all those things are on the table as they face elimination here.
Should be fun. That is Fred Katz, who, to be clear, is not clairvoyant, but very plugged in when it comes to Game 6 tonight in New York. Appreciate it, Fred.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, Boston's ability to apparently not miss a beat offensively in Game 5, even after losing Jason Tatum, it was just remarkable. And Jaylen Brown seamlessly shifted into playmaker mode. He averaged 4.5 assists during the regular season. He had a total of 13 in the first 4 games of this series, 3D, and then a dozen in Game 5. Do you anticipate that's more of his role here moving forward, or will they lean on the offense to generate the shots they want?
I anticipate him being just as aggressive. And I think that's the part we're still getting used to, Channing, where a team's going to take 40, 50, 63 tonight, and they took 49 without JT. So what JB said, I'll be more aggressive, attack the defense, and I'll find my shooters. Coach Mizzou's been telling us the last couple of years they're going to take a lot of threes, but when you can get the stops, Cornette with 7 blocks, now you can get out in transition, you attack the paint. Come on, Channing. You and I in our age, we still could walk into this one and knock down this 3 in transition, Matt. Look, he's wide open, a couple clam chowder, knock it down. That's who they are. But it's the patience. This play right here, early in the series, you're right, Matt, he probably would have taken that jump shot. But no, he decided to attack the defense. You got 6-man year to Ward in the corner. You got Derek White at the top. So you have your spacing once again. You get a stop, you're out and running. He's normally taking his shot once again, Channing. I'm going to attack, see if the defense gives me. We know Drew Holiday can make a 3, but no, I need a layup to get us going. I just thought everyone played their role to a T, and JV being aggressive, that's why he got those 12 assists.
It can't be that easy, though, right? I mean, this has been an offensive machine over the course of the season, but to lose a player of Tatum's ilk and produce 127 with efficiency, that's hard to do.
It can be that easy.
It's that easy because that's who you are.
Yeah.
Now, the question to the answer your question, JB just didn't settle around a 3-point line swing. You attacked, you made the defense shrink, and now you draw and kick, and you were still able to get your 49 threes up.
Jaylen Brown said it out loud. I'm one of the best. He said, I'm one of the best at getting 2 feet in the paint or getting paint things. You look at these clips. He would literally put 2 feet in the paint, and then he's kicking out. He's attacking. What Boston decided is like, Cat and Jalen Brunson, you have to play both sides of this court. We are going to be uber aggressive. We're going to get off to great starts. We're going to punch you in the mouth and see how you react. But what happens with Boston is when they start driving, guys get into foul trouble, you don't want to foul. And when they get 2 feet in the paint and kick out, they drive and kick better than anyone does in the NBA. I think Indiana's up there, right?
Good point.
Great point. So JB is different than JT because JB can't settle for those threes. That's just not who he is as a person, right? It's not, it's both sides of the Kit Kat, right? To me, what JB does great is that he plays with a little slower pace than JT. JT is more talented. JB is more cerebral about, we've shot 6 in a row, I need to touch the paint because that's where I'm comfortable, and that's what makes him dangerous.
Mentioned Peyton Pritchard. He had 17 on 17 shots. His 2 highest scoring games of the series are the Boston wins. That may or may not be coincidence. He is the 6th man of the year. You expect production from him. Will they need something like that to keep this series going, or is it just, again, the product of the way the offense is going and what New York is willing to give them?
So I think the offense, what Boston has done great, and I know people don't agree with shooting 63s, but if you go down the line, if everyone's healthy, they have 8 dudes that shoot 38% and above. So you're going to tell Peyton Pritchard, don't shoot threes? Well, shoot that thing.
Do what you do.
One, he is also great at taking advantage of his opportunities. He's always aggressive. And to me, and we're going to talk about this probably a little later, the bench points. Their bench has made an impact. You look at Luke Cornett with the 7 blocks. You look at Peyton Pritchard doing his thing. They are up 140-78. That means Jalen Brunson he has no break. Then Karl-Anthony Towns has no break. Each person he has to play defense on. When they come off the bench, he got the green light. Hey, 3D. Man. Hey, he's like, man, I'm one of the best one-on-one dudes in the league. You got to guard me too. So for me, their bench, all they have to do, you look at the last game, plus 24, plus 20. You can't let guys come in. Yeah. And we watched this game last night with Strother. He came in and gave him a cold 15.
Come on.
And you were like, that changed the whole outlook of the whole game and gave them another chance to play. If the Knicks can get somebody, just give me somebody to get fit. The ghost of Channing Frye to come out there and give them 10 to 15 and impacts, an extra 15 to 20 minutes, then I think the Knicks have a chance to win. But they can't let the Boston bench dictate the game when their starters are out. They got to take advantage of that time.
And how repeatable is what Luke Cornett did in Game 5 tonight? He was a plus 20 in 26 minutes of postseason career high in terms of minutes played. You mentioned the 7 blocks as well. He's a factor. They're going to have to consider him tonight. Well, you heard Fred Katz say the Knicks collectively didn't really bring it to match Boston's force. That's the sense there. That was particularly true in the second half when they were outscored by 25. And when Jalen Brunson racked up 6 fouls, 5 of them in the third quarter alone, what can he and the Knicks do differently if the C's are going to target him defensively?
Well, understanding that Coach Mazzulla said anytime that Jalen Brunson's on the floor, we're putting him in every action. Now, I was watching the show last night, and I was talking about with Zeke the day before, is that Mazzulla says, I know Brunson needs to be worn out. And the best way to wear him out is to put him in every action and keep a taller guy contesting all his shots. So it's the first time, in years that Jalen Brunson fouled out a ball game because he's so efficient on both ends of the floor. So if you're not helping him early, or if he's not getting off the ball early, then it's going to be a long night for him. And lastly, does OG go 1 of 12 again?
No.
Think about it. That's been the weirdest thing for him, right? Normally when he plays well, he played well at home, their last home game, they win the ball game. But for him to play so poorly, I don't think he plays that bad tonight.
No, I think what you saw in that little clip there is Jalen Brunson, they're not willing to switch him on some of the bigger guards. So he has to show and get back. And what they're doing, they're attacking that show hard. And then when you get a rotational guy to have to stop that roller, then Jaylen Brown is firing this thing over the corners. Now you have to close out on a guard, basically, and they drive. So Jalen Brunson is going to have to move them puppies tonight, switch, and be able to play his space. Even if guys make twos, they're going to have to live with that. And Jalen Brunson is going to have an oxygen machine on the side because if you think that it was bad last game, they're going to start the game this way. They're going to find him. They're going to find Cat, and they're going to attack them. I mean, but some of the fouls that Cat did last game was like,
you still want to target him, though, right?
Yeah, for sure, because you would go, well, who's coming off the bench? Mitchell Robinson? You're going to get 20 minutes?
But you don't want to target him.
Well, also, you don't want to target Anunoby and Bridges.
No, you don't want none of those.
Great defender or Hart.
You don't want them in rotations.
One of those coaches, Rick Brunson's probably telling Cat, do you realize you've been in foul trouble every game? And 2 of your 3 fouls have been some of the dumbest fouls. That's why they're attacking him. He's not a bad defender. He's just a dumb decision maker, so you get those fouls.
Let's be honest.
He's standing right there. Why are you reaching? It's like, why are you reaching?
It's a good chunk of Cat's postseason career.
My point is,
I mean,
so that's why.
Trouble
so it's not a secret why we're attacking him. So that's why people are asking, why are we asking? Because he's going to make a dumb foul. It's just that simple.
All right, more coming up here on Playoff Central Live. Coming up, the Nuggets played their Joker and 2 wild cards to force a Game 7 with the Thunder. We'll look ahead next. In the West, the Nuggets went plus 15 in the second half of last night's Game 6 in Denver to force what will be their 7th Game 7 since 2019. That is most in the NBA. And interim head coach David Adelman figures that's advantage Nuggets.
It's a process-oriented thing in a Game 7. You have to work your way through it. Very rarely is it like the Clipper game, then first round. If it goes that way, that would be great. But, yeah, I just think our mentality, our overall mentality should help us play in a really tough environment and give ourselves a chance to win.
I mean, hopefully we're going to rest a little bit because we're playing 7, 6, 13 really hard games in not back to back, but like every other day. So hopefully we're going to have some rest and get ready for the game.
they threw a punch, as has happened in the series. I mean, both teams are exchanging blows, and both teams have done a great job of standing back up, including us, and we need to do that on Sunday. We get to play that game at home because of the work we did during the regular season, but when the ball goes up in the air, we'll be excited to go.
It's do or die. It's what you live for. It's what you worked your whole life for. It's either your dream continues or your dream ends. So you lay it all out there on the floor and live with the results. But I'm excited for the opportunity for sure.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of 3 Thunder players to have played in a Game 7, one each. By contrast, the Nuggets have 36 games of Game 7 experience over the course of their roster. A lot for OKC to sort out between Game 6 and this Game 7 coming up on Sunday. One of the things, Channing, is the zone that apparently bothered them in Denver.
Yeah, you know what? If you're looking at Denver's build, you're like, oh, man, OKC has these opportunities to be aggressive offensively. But this zone, you see Jokic is chilling. Jokic is basically getting to not have to be put in different actions. He gets to stay near the post, and they get to create opportunities defensively to have quick hands. Look, Christian Brown is a solid defender, but here he gets to double team AC, sends him to Jokic where he gets a block. And now look at them get out and run with 2 people behind the break. Again, you look here. Now, Jokic doesn't have to be in any of the action. They're switching all this, keeping OKC's bodies in front of them, away from the rim, and then they're letting guys shoot who they are willing to shoot. They get one shot, then they get out and rebound. You look at the amount of free throws that OKC shot last night, 16. They weren't as aggressive. There's not holes. They're not playing one-on-one. OKC one-on-one is better than Denver, other than Jokic. But when Jokic goes into that zone, Denver goes into that zone, a sick Jamal Murray gets to chill. Michael Porter Jr. with his one arm that's hurt gets to chill. Jokic gets to chill, and they have to now think there's no actions, and it makes you less aggressive. You're not getting to a free throw line as much, and Denver gets to get out and run because you're not matched out correctly. And that's why you see Jokic being guarded by the smaller guys, which he loves those opportunities, Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso, et cetera.
Yeah, to add to that, with Denver going to the free throw line and making 27 and 32, that gives you another opportunity to set up. But we always talk about the role players, and is J-Dub a role player? He's an all-star this year. He's 3 of 16.
He's an all-star.
He's an all-star. And
he did some other things in his defense. The shooting night was miserable.
But the shooting is miserable because are you ready to do everything? Because I look around in our league, we label certain guys all-stars. They do it all and still score and finish out the ball game. So, J-Dub, you're an all-star this year. You've proven out these last 2 years you earned this opportunity and reputation, if you will. You got to show up in Game 7 at home, because I'm sure SGA will and the rest of those guys will. I need J-Dub to step up.
Just to speak on that, I've had a bad series. Like we were playing Western Conference Finals. I had an awful series versus the Lakers, right? And because Phil Jackson was throwing different people on me. Right. Sometimes just called being in the matrix. I think what J-Dub needs to do, simplify things. I'm just going to worry about defense. I'm going to shoot the shots that are open. I'm going to be aggressive. It looks like at this point he starts to think when he's shooting. He's trying to aim it in there. Just shoot it. You've done enough work. Go watch film of you in high school.
Or the game before that, we hit that big 3. Just one game ago, you hit that big 3 when you were 9 of 15 from the floor. So what happened in 48 hours? Man, that's what I'm saying. So my point is, you're going to get those same wide open shots because that's what Denver is showing. You just said it. If they're in that zone, if you're not making a quick decision, now you're overthinking it. Now you're missing the shot you're talking about. Go back out there and hoop.
Maybe it comes back to the mean. Maybe it really was just a bad shooting night. We're going to find out on Sunday.
Yes.
Big picture, OKC's adjustments are more schematic, or they're more about the force you hear about overall?
I think it's a little bit schematic to breaking down the zone Channing's talking about, because the zone has them overthinking. And that's what the Denver Nuggets are happy, because they're overthinking versus attack the gap. You have shooters everywhere, and you have a guy in the dunker spot. But now they're catching, looking. Now the shot clock's at 8, and now you're overthinking, making bad decisions.
Yeah, I think for me, the guys that are shooting, you don't have to settle for that first shot. And we talked about this yesterday. Yes. I thought Lou had a really good big 3 shots the game before. I thought the first 3 or 4 shots he shot at the beginning of the game, he should have drove and kicked. Get a great shot, especially when you're trying to get your rhythm.
I agree.
And, Chet hasn't been shooting that well from the 3-point line, especially not last night. Getting his feet set, having time, closing out the end of the game, that closeout that he did with against Joker. I want to see more of that, more of the forceful energy to get 2 feet in the paint, kick out, give your okay shooters more time, get their feet set, and shoot the ball. But I thought last game they were shooting contested threes. They were shooting like 1-pass threes. You cannot settle with that. when you're playing Denver. Wear them down and attack the paint and get easy stuff and get into a rhythm.
Julian Strother, a wild card off the bench for Denver in Game
Bingo card 6.
Who could it be in Game 7? Who it'll be tonight for the Knicks or the Celtics? Karl Anthony Towns and the Knickerbockers, a chance to move on to the Final Four. Playoff Central Live returns after Game 6 tonight with press conference coverage as always, and we'll be talking about a win by who, Channing Frye?
Tonight, I'm going with the Knicks. I'm going with the Knicks. I feel like they came out like with no energy last game. Somebody got to get them a 5-hour energy. I think this game they're going to come out. They know they need to come out early and get off to a good start, because they've usually had good second halves. Get off to a good start, get this crowd going. MSG's going to be cracking. And that guy right there is going to be the man.
OG's going to be the man?
He's going to be the man.
He's going to bounce back being 1 of 12.
He's going to bounce back.
Well, he can't be much worse in terms of shooting basketball.
He can go 13, huh?
I'm not sure 0 for 20.
I'm not sure how far out on the limb you're going there. But, by the way, a 2.5-hour energy would work. For this, and that'd be fine.
Nah, he needs a little more than that. That'd be fine. Who do you got? 47 minutes.
I'm going with the Celtics. I think JB and the way they attack, and Joe Mazzulla, they play that certain way. We're going back for Game 7.
These two teams have played 9 times this season. Boston is led by 20 in 7 of those. The Knicks have to get off to a better start at some point.
As Matt would say, the stats don't lie.
Oh,
we'll see you after the game, everybody.
See ya.